All right, let's do some Mathity-Math. All right, we're going to take a little dive here into descriptive statistics, and we're going to how to better understand the mean and some standard deviations. All right, so here's our question. It says, Dr. Stankenstein loves making monsters. The number of toes he gives his creatures has a mean of 10. Okay, and a standard deviation of 2. Okay, so there's a little variation on the toes they get. It's funny. For the 100-year anniversary of his first monster, Dr. Stankenstein decides to give all the creatures 7 extra toes. What a gift. A generous man, this Dr. Stankenstein. Or a woman. I mean, who knows? And so what is the new mean and the new standard deviation? Okay. I could just answer this question really quickly, but I think it's more important to develop a little bit of context here. So I'm going to design a quick little experiment for you guys, and hopefully it'll let you guys kind of see why this works and how this works a little bit better. So I'm going to make a set of data, and this set of data is going to be pretty straightforward. And remember, this is a little sidebar here. It has nothing to do with this question yet. Okay, so let's say there's a set of data, and the set of data was 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's our data. And let's say we're going to find the mean of this data, and we're going to find the standard deviation of this data. Okay, we'll build a table here. Okay, it's going to sound silly, but I'm going to use my calculator here because I want you guys to see how to do this, even though we could probably do this in our head because it's so simple. But here we go. So you hit Stat, Edit, and we're going to do the first list. And the first list is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, great. This is our list. Okay, so I'm going to calculate the one variable statistics of list 1 that we just did. And we find here that the mean is 2 and our standard deviation is 0.816. Okay, so my mean was 2 and my standard deviation was 0.816. Okay, stay with me here. This will make sense for you guys in a second. All right, so if I was doing an experiment on this and I wanted to kind of create some situations, because if you look at here, it says we're adding extra toes. So we're just adding here. And so basically we're saying, well, I want to see what happens when you add, what happens to the mean, and what happens to the standard deviation. So I'm going to just make a little table here, a little chart, and let's just see what happens when we add. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a situation for +1, +2, and let's just say +100. And so what's happening here is what I'm saying is we're going to add 1 to these and make a new list. We're going to add 2 to these and make a new list. We're going to add 100 to these and make a new list. Okay? So, and I chose these simple numbers for our little experiment so that we could see it pretty clearly. So I'm going to make a new list. And so for my +1 list, well, 1 + 1 is 2. Okay? 2 + 1 is 3. And 3 + 1 is 4. So that's my +1 list. Instead of 1, 2, 3, it becomes 2, 3, 4. Let's do my +2 list. L3 will be my +2 list. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a little dark. Let me make that better. Okay, so L3 is my +2 list. So 1 + 2 is 3. 2 + 2 is 4. And 3 + 2 is 5. And so again, all I'm doing is I'm adding to my initial my data set. Okay, and let's do this last one, the L4. We're going to add 100. Why not? Okay, so 1 + 100 is 101, 2 + 100 is 102, and 3 + 100 is 103. Okay, so now I have 3 lists. And I'm going to go ahead and make a note here. So this was my L1, this is L2, this is L3, and this is L4. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to see what happens to our mean and our standard deviation. So all I got to do here is I go to, where can we see that best? That looks nice. I'm going to go to second. No, not. I'm going to go to stat. I'm going to calculate one variable statistics, but now I'm going to do L2. That's going to be this one right here like we talked about. Okay? And we see that the median, I'm sorry, the mean, can you see that? You see the mean is 3, and we see that the standard deviation is 0.816. So when we added 1 to the data set, the mean went up by 1. At this point, you can see the standard deviation didn't change. And I bet you could guess the next mean and standard deviation for the other two, right? But if not, let's go ahead and just use our calculator. So I'll go back, I'll calculate. Now I'm going to do a list 3, and the list 3 was plus 2. Okay, mean is 4. So when I added 2, my mean becomes 4. And my standard deviation did not change. All right, well, let's do 100. This is my L4. Okay, my mean is 102. And shocker, standard deviation didn't change. So what we learned here is that when you have a mean, if you add to it, the mean just goes up however much you added to it. And if you have a standard deviation, if you add to it all, it doesn't change. So going back to the original question, if the mean when we started was 10, so when we started the mean was 10 and the standard deviation was 2, after Dr. Stankenstein added 7 extra toes, let me come down a little bit. After Dr. Stankenstein added 7 extra toes, well, using what we just learned, we know the mean will go up by 7, and we know that the standard deviation will not change. And that is your answer. All right? Okay, please subscribe if you want to be notified when I make new practice problems. If you don't want to be notified, then, don't subscribe. And if you want me to make something for you, there's a skill you need to practice, there's a story you want me to write for a word problem, just leave a comment below and I'll try to make it for you. Thank you. Bye.